We're very proud to have two very interesting guests here, Annette and Marcel. I'll introduce them to you a little bit later. Please note that this will be recorded. So if you cannot follow the whole presentation or you have some colleagues who want to see it afterwards, they'll be able to see the presentation. With the Visit USA committee, we're very excited to see you all live. You know, the 12th of October, it's getting there fast. Within 2 weeks, we have our Visit USA workshop. We have never had as many partners as we have now. There's 27 partners who have already confirmed that they will be present. The 27 partners is a very nice mix of your friends, tour operators, airlines, and of course also representations of the destinations in the US. So if you haven't subscribed to attend the 12th of October yet, please take your agenda and note and make sure that you will be there. It will be very interesting, I promise you. And then maybe you can also take note of the next webinar on 31st of October. 31st of October, we will have Air Europa. Air Europa was scheduled to come today, but they postponed the presentation for next time. So this means more time for our two guests of today. We have Marcel Springer from Florida Keys and Annette Eckhart from Naples, Marco Island, and the Everglades. Hello, Annette, and hello, Marcel.
Hello.
Welcome. Marcel and Annette agreed that questions can be asked during the presentation, but as you know, we would like to do it via the chat box. So please, if you're muted, I muted everybody. So please, if you're muted, stay muted so we don't have any disturbing noises. But if you have questions, just go to the chat, type your question, and I will forward your question to Marcel or to Annette. And as agreed, Marcel, you are first guest, so the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Peter. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending and for being part of this. I hope everybody can see my presentation now. So perfect. Thanks for the thumbs up. So yes, as Peter said, my name is Marcel, and I'm the representative of the fabulous Florida Keys and Key West in the European market. So I'm based in Germany, but I'm taking care of the German-speaking market as well as the Benelux market. So whenever you have any questions or need any recommendations or information or brochures, I'm here for you, so you can always reach out to me. Yes, so I would like to take you on a little journey through the keys. So whenever I do any presentations or trainings about the keys, basically there's only one thing that I would like to ask you to remember from my presentation. That's always the very first thing that I mention during this presentation. Everything else afterwards you are allowed to forget as long as you remember that one thing. And the one thing that I would like to please ask you to always remember, even after this presentation, is that you please never, never, never sell Key West as a day trip from Miami. Because if you're looking more closely at the map, you will notice that, yes, it looks fairly close, but it's never a good idea to do it as a day trip. There are unfortunately bus companies that offer this as a day trip from Miami down to Key West. But if we're looking a little bit more closer, from Miami, which is a little bit north of this map here, to Key Largo, to our northernmost island, it's about a 1 to 1.5 hour drive. Then from Key Largo, this beautiful stretch of road all the way down to Key West, that is only 180 kilometers, but it's not 180 kilometers German Autobahn, but more American highways. And that means strict tempo limits or speed limits. That means 42 bridges that you drive across. So there's no passing any cars on those bridges because it's just one lane in each direction. So it takes you another 3 to 3.5 hours just to do that drive from Key Largo down to Key West. So if you add those two stretches up, so from Miami going to Key Largo and then from Key Largo to Key West, that whole drive is about a 4 to 5 hour drive. Then you haven't stopped yet, you haven't eaten anything, you didn't make a restroom break, and if you do it as a day trip, you also need to drive that whole stretch back. So that means you're sitting in the car for anything between 8 at worst 10 hours. So there's not much day left when you're doing that drive as a day trip. So that's why one overnight is really the bare minimum that I would always recommend if you're going down there, if you're including the keys in your road trip. Yes, our clients always want to see a lot in very little time or as little time as possible. But if possible, I would always recommend spending 2 overnights in Key West when you are visiting the Keys for the first time, because then you can spend one day to really enjoy that drive down. You can put your feet in the water. You can grab a fish sandwich at a marina along the way. You can do some photos, and then you arrive relaxed and not stressed out in the afternoon in Key West. Check into your hotel. You go over to Mallory Square to enjoy the sunsets, and then dive into the nightlife. And if you're spending 2 nights in Key West, that means on the first night, the driver can also get a little bit drunk because you don't need to leave right in the early morning. And Key West is a little party town, so it's always a good recommendation to enjoy that nightlife a little bit. Yeah, and if you're spending 2 nights in Key West, that also means you have a full day to explore then Key West. And Key West is not a huge island. It's like 6 kilometers by 2 kilometers. So within a day, you actually get to see quite a bit of the island and check off the most important sightseeing activities. Yeah, and then after the second overnight, you can easily drive back to the mainland and have a good experience seeing a lot without getting stressed too much. What can make sense is to add a third overnight, maybe in Key Largo or Isla Morada in the upper part of the Keys, because usually your clients don't go from Miami down to Key West and then back to Miami, but rather they go to the Gulf Coast. So we'll hear later from Annette about Naples and that beautiful area. That is also quite a long drive if you're doing it straight from Key West all the way to Naples. So that's like a 6.5, 7 hour drive, depending on traffic situation. So it might make sense to add a third overnight in the Upper Keys as well. So please remember, never sell Key West as a day trip from Miami. 1 overnight is always the bare minimum. 2 overnights is what I usually recommend, and a third overnight makes sense a lot of times too. So yes, please remember that. And now I also have brought you some more nice images, but this is the part that I hope you will remember after this presentation and hopefully also tomorrow and in the future. So because that's important to me. Um, in general, if we're talking travel times, you can pretty much visit the Florida Keys and the south of Florida the entire year. Our main season is basically from Christmas to Easter, so that's when the prices are usually the highest. So if you can avoid that season, I would does make sense, but of course it's a popular time of year because we have quite nice weather still in the winter time, so it is quite popular. So another thing that always to keep in mind is also if you're traveling, especially to Key West during the week, it's always a little less expensive, a little bit more availability than during the weekend, because a lot of times or a lot of Americans travel down to Key West over the weekend. So it makes it more busy and then also more expensive, of course. So that's also good to keep in mind. Of course, you get to Florida usually by flying. So we do also have one option that might be interesting for you or to keep in mind is that we do also have flights into Key West. So we have an airport in Key West. It's a small airport. It's a nice airport, but we actually have more direct flights into Key West than before the pandemic. So there's always the chance to connect through a larger airport into Key West, or what I would usually recommend is maybe fly into Orlando, start your road trip there, and then end in Key West, and then drop off your rental car in Key West before a couple of days early, because in Key West you can get around on foot really easy, and then fly out from Key West through, for example, Orlando or Atlanta back into Europe, and that's also a good experience, because the Key West airport is pretty small, pretty relaxed, and it's also actually really nice flying out of Key West and having that aerial view out of Key West. And then also another nice point, or a nice option that you have is the Key West Express, which is a ferry that goes year-round from Fort Myers Beach down to Key West, but also during the winter time it also connects Marco Island with Key West. So that's maybe an option for your clients as well to think about. It is a passenger ferry, not a car ferry, so there's a little bit of logistics involved if you need to drop off your rental car and pick up another rental car in Key West. But if you're including it in a road trip itinerary for your clients, but also an interesting option. And there are no one-way rental car fees within Florida, so that might make it more attractive for your clients as well. And it's a beautiful journey. It takes about, I think, 3.5 hours by ferry, so it is actually quicker, of course, than driving. So that might be an interesting option as well. So now I would like to take you through the 5 different districts that we have in the Keys. So the northernmost one is Key Largo, and Key Largo markets itself as the dive capital of the world, as humble as the Americans are. But there's actually pretty amazing diving here in this area, because we have one of the largest reefs in the world, which not a lot of people know about here in Europe. It's actually the 3rd largest barrier reef in the world that goes all the way across the island chain, and it's actually still in pretty good condition. So you can see a lot of those beautiful, colorful corals of the tropical fish. And for me personally, I did my diving license a couple of years back in Key Largo, but my ears didn't take it too well. So I usually go out snorkeling and not diving, because it's a very shallow reef. So even as a snorkeler, you see a lot of those beautiful corals and the beautiful fish. So that's for me one of my most must-do activities when I'm in the Keys, is to go out on the reef to snorkel for like half a day, and that's always a beautiful activity and experience. We actually also have a dedicated state park just for that coral reef, which is called the John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. You can do your snorkeling and diving trips from that state park if you wish to, but there's also glass bottom boat tours out on the reef, which are a pretty neat thing. So you can, if you don't want to get wet and don't want to get into the water, the glass bottom boat tours are also an interesting option. But then there are also kayaks to rent. There's a little beach, a little camping area in that state park, so definitely worth a stop. Once Annette does her presentation, you will hear quite a bit, I think, about the Everglades National Park, which is actually located more or less between our 2 destinations. And her entrance to the Everglades National Park is definitely a beautiful part of this national park. But you can also get to the Everglades National Park by driving or by car from the Keys, especially from Key Largo. It's about a half an hour to the eastern entrance, and that's where you can do like most of the classical touristy stuff. And that's where you can drive into the park. But one thing that I would like to point out is from Key Largo, you can also see a completely different side of the Everglades National Park, and that's where the the fresh water meets the ocean on the southern end of the Everglades, which is a pretty unique ecosystem in itself. And there are boat tours either by motorboat or, as you can see in the image, by kayak, where you can actually paddle into that part of the Everglades, which is a part that you can't get to by car. And so if you have clients that have done the typical Everglades stuff, especially on the eastern side of the national park, that's a good alternative to offer. In this whole area, we have a lot of hotels, of course. One thing that is to keep in mind is that neither in Key Largo nor in the next part of the Keys, which is called Isla Morada, there's nowhere like a downtown area. So there's no bad location that you can book your clients into. Everything is more like pearls on a chain, like on a necklace. So one thing after the other. So the only more or less decision that you have to make for your clients when it comes to the hotel. Do you want to book them on the water facing the ocean towards the sunrise? Then you put them on the Atlantic side, or do they want to look out on the water on the sunset, and then you put them on the Gulf side? So that's basically the only decision that the client needs to make picking a hotel. The next area is, as I said, Isla Morada, and Isla Morada markets itself as the sports fishing capital of the world. Not as relevant for our market here in Europe, but maybe a little nice thing to know is that a lot of restaurants here in the Keys offer a program called Cook Your Own Catch. So if you have clients that decide to go out on a fishing trip with a local captain, they can actually take the fish that they caught to a restaurant here in the Keys, and they will prepare the fish for them. So that's a nice little thing. Other than that, there is quite a lot of art in Isla Morada, so a lot of galleries. We have the every third Thursday each month. There's a Thursday night art walk. So the galleries have are open to the public late in the evening. You have some live music going on in the streets, some food trucks. So that's quite a nice thing each third Thursday of the month. So something to keep in mind. The most famous work of art, piece of art, is Betsy, which you can see here in the picture. That's a giant lobster statue in front of the Rain Barrel Artisan Village, which is a nice little community of artists. We can purchase some nice souvenirs and some colorful artisan stuff here in this nice little artisan village. Another quite famous stop in this area is called Robbie's Marina, which is a little marina. And you can do some boat trips from out here. You can rent kayaks, you can rent jet skis and stuff like that. There are some souvenir shops down under the palm trees here in the back of this photo. And there's also quite a nice restaurant called the Hungry Tarpon, where you can do a nice lunch stop along the way. What Robbie's Marina is mostly known for is what you can see here in the water, and that's not the pelicans, but rather the fish in the water, which are called tarpons, and that are fish that get like 2 meter in size. So at the shack in the back of this photo, you can purchase a little bucket of fish, and then you can go out on the dock here, hold the fish above the water, and then the tarpons will jump out of the water. So that's quite a unique little experience. Of course, you can also find a lot of accommodations here in this area. Isla Morada is what I would say more of our upscale destinations. You find a lot of more upscale resorts here. So if you have clients looking for a little relaxation, a little getaway, you have a lot of nice little accommodations, and also a little bit bigger accommodations along the island chains, always by the water, always quite nice to stay at. Marathon is our next area, and Marathon is mostly what I would recommend for families traveling with smaller kids. With smaller kids, you don't have that much of the nightlife in Key West, so you don't necessarily need to pay the higher prices of Key West. So Marathon is a little bit more of an affordable alternative. Through the location in the middle of the Keys, you can do day trips to Key West. You can do day trips up to the Everglades. You can spend a half day on the beach here. There are also a lot of family-friendly resort hotels, like the one here in the image, which is called Hawks Cay Resort, where you have this nice little laguna, which is closed off from the actual ocean. So that's quite nice with children. They also have childcare on property, and that's quite a beautiful property to stay at because you also have a hotel component, but then also a villa component. So that's quite nice. Marathon is also good for families because you have a lot of attractions that are interesting for families with smaller kids or also bigger kids for me. You have swimming with dolphins in that area, for example, at the Dolphin Research Center. But you also have the Turtle Hospital. And the Turtle Hospital is awesome because everybody loves turtles. And this is the first of its kind. And it's an actual hospital for sea turtles, for injured and sick sea turtles. And you can do guided tours there, which are quite interesting. At first, you have to sit through a presentation, but then the actual tour is through the through the rehability portion of the hospital. So you have some pools where the patients are staying. The kids get to feed the turtles. You get to learn a lot about the turtles, and like I said, everybody loves turtles. So you can basically recommend a stop at the Turtle Hospital to everyone here. Um, there's a lot of nicer dining along the Keys, but there's also some rustic dining options. And one is that I would like to recommend is right here in Marathon is called the Keys Fisheries, which is right by the the fishing harbor on Marathon. So there they have this little hole in the wall place called Keys Fisheries, and you get really fresh seafood right basically from the ship at this little hole in the wall. You sit on plastic chairs and have little paper bags and stuff like that. So it's really not fancy, but it's really excellent seafood, and you're sitting right by the water. You can basically see when the fishing boat's coming in, so you know it's really fresh and it's really excellent food that you can get here at this nice little place. Um, like I said, the Florida Keys are connected by 42 bridges in total. They're all toll free, so you don't have to pay anything to drive across these bridges. The longest bridge is called the 7 Mile Bridge, which is 7 miles long, and a pretty impressive engineering feat. But you also have the historic 7 Mile Bridge, which you can see here on the left in the image, which has just been reopened last year. After they renovated it, and it's now a biking and walking bridge. So you can get to this little island called Pigeon Key from Marathon across this bridge, and it's a nice little basically city park above the water when you do that trip on the bridge. So that's a nice option because nowadays a lot of the hotels also offer bike rentals for free. So that's a good option to experience the Keys in a different way on this bridge. My favorite area of the Keys is the next one, which is called the Lower Keys or Big Pine Key and the Lower Keys, and that's basically our nature reserve. So you have a lot of nature, a lot of untouched areas. You can do amazing backcountry kayaking trips here to those remote sandbars that you can see here in the images. That's not Photoshop. It really looks like this. I've been at this exact place with the lady in the left on the left here who does kayaking trips in that area. You can also see this little fella which is called the key deer, which is a nice little deer that only exists in this part of the world. So they only get like the size of the dog, so they're very small, but a nice little fella that you can see in the forests here in this area. So like I said, you can do some nice trips close to very remote sandbars here. We also have a really nice state park, which is called Bahia Honda State Park, which has one of our most nice beaches in the Keys. That being said, we are not a beach destination. So whenever you have clients that are looking for a 3-week beach vacation, you can send them to Annette, to Marco Island, or to Naples on the Gulf Coast. That's where they find those wonderful big beaches. But our beaches look more like this one here in the image, so rather small, rather beautiful, but very small and tiny. So for a half a day at the beach or a day at the beach, that's fine, but not for a 3-week beach vacation. Yeah, and we're almost at the end of our journey in the Keys. So in Key West, which is the only island that has actual city character. So as I mentioned before, this is like 6 kilometers by 2 kilometers, and the most interesting part you can actually find here on the western side of the island. So if you have clients that want to really stay in the heart of everything, you book them on the western side around Duval Street, which is our main party and shopping and restaurant area. But even if you have clients staying here on the eastern side, where it's a little bit more affordable, that's only like 4.5, 5 kilometers to get into the actual old town. So you have the opportunity with shuttle services from those hotels. So you don't really need to have the car. We also have, of course, the touristic transportation stuff that you can know from other areas. We also have the Old Town Trolley, which is a nice hop on, hop off type of transportation. And then my best recommendation for Key West is always to take a bike, because our highest elevation in Key West is 6 meters above sea level. So it's really for everyone, and it's just a beautiful way to explore a city like Key West. Aside from 3 or 4 main roads, traffic is really not bad. You have those beautiful Victorian houses. You have those lush tropical gardens, and it's just a great way to explore those little neighborhoods on bike. I think that's the best way to explore a place like that. To also widen your radius a little bit, just then other than just walking around it. Of course, if you are in Key West, you are also here for our sunsets. We always do every night the sunset celebration at Mallory Square, which is right after behind that hotel here, behind the Ocean Key Resort, and that's where everyone meets in the evening to celebrate the sunset. You have some street artists, a couple of crazy people doing shows here, so always a must-do in the evening and a great experience. An alternative to the sunset celebration is always to go out on a sunset cruise. So you have those beautiful sailing boats that you can see here in the image, but there's also a little less expensive version on those catamarans. So that starts at 30 or 40 euros for a 2-hour sunset cruise. And the good thing is alcohol is always included, so it's a good way to get a start into the evening before you then head out into our beautiful nightlife. We have a lot of restaurants, of course, where you can sit out on the patio, do some people watching. We have a lot of bars with live music, so it's always great to spend the night actually in Key West and to go out and about and enjoy the nightlife here. So yeah, we do have, of course, a Belgian website with some Danish, Flemish information, with some French information. We also have a Flemish language online training. We also have a French language online training course, which you can access under the link here. And then if you need to have and need any questions to be answered, or if you need any brochures, you can always feel free to contact me and reach out to me. Yeah, so, and that's it for today. So unless you have any questions, I am done.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Amazing presentation. There have not been any questions in the chat box so far, so I guess everything was very clear. And I think everybody's looking forward to be on one of those lovely islands with a cocktail.
I can always recommend that, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So next is
There's one.
Annette. Annette will
There's
take
one.
us.
There was one question. If you get the presentation,
Okay.
yes, you will.
Yes.
I mean, I I can make that available. Yes,
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
I have your presentation, Marcel, so I can forward it to our members.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Excellent. So a little bit across the water, let's say, not too far in distance, is the region that Annette will present us. Annette will take us to Naples, Marco Islands, and the Everglades.
Yes.
Lovely as well.
Here we are. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect. Yeah. Hello, welcome to Florida's Paradise Coast, and thanks for joining this webinar. My name is Annette, and I am the representative for beautiful Paradise Coast as well for Benelux. I'm based in Frankfurt in Germany, and I'm looking forward to support you with your questions to sell our beautiful destination. Yeah, let's have a look. Where is the Paradise Coast actually located? We are located on the southwest coast of Florida at the Gulf of Mexico, which is very well known for its beautiful sunsets, as Marcel already said, and its beaches. We have plenty of long powder sandy beaches. And as you can see on the map, we are quite in the middle of everything, so we are perfectly located to include us in any Florida round trip. Mainly the clients are staying between 2 or 3 nights, but if you have clients who want to visit us directly, they can fly into Southwest International Airport in Fort Myers, which is only 40 minutes north of Naples. So quite easily accessible for your clients. We are a great area for slow travel, families, beach lovers, foodies, because we have a wide range of diversity and contrast. What is Paradise Coast? When we are talking about Paradise Coast, we are thinking about the charming resort-style small village Naples, the tropical island Marco Island in the south of the region, and of course Everglades National Park, where Paradise Coast is the western entrance. Why is our region so special? We are very close to nature, we are very tropical. The residents are hardy hosts. We do have small city life. We have laid-back island feeling on Marco Island, and we have lots of nature in the 10,000 islands or in the Everglades National Park. We are starting our journey in Naples. Naples is a small coast town with only 20,000 residents. As you can see, while looking on the buildings, we have that colorful historical buildings. It looks a lot like in the Caribbean, but also with a Mediterranean lifestyle. Naples is also a very historical town. It has been established back in the 1880s. And it became actually a winter destination for Hollywood celebrities. So we always had that elegant, sophisticated style of the town. Looking at our city center, which is very tiny, as you can see in the circle, it's the street around 5th Avenue and 3rd Street. It's very walkable, so you can just say your clients, park your car, go for dinner, watch the sunset on the beach. It's very easy to get around. As you can see, all streets are leading to the beach, but there are no hotels directly here on the beach. The beach is very green, actually. You find only villas and homes of the residents, but it's a public beach, so it's easily accessible for everybody. Looking on our streets, you find many palm trees. You have extraordinary restaurants, little boutiques, art galleries, and cafes along the road. And as I said, just park the car here, take a stroll, enjoy your dinner, grab a drink, and go for sunset to the beach. Here's some more pictures about 3rd Street. And then Naples Pier. So Naples Pier is actually the most popular spot for sunset viewing in town. That's a place where you can enjoy really the sunset under the locals. At the moment, the Naples Pier is not open because Hurricane Ian destroyed it last year, but it will be rebuilt hopefully in the next year. So the plans are currently not finalized yet, but it should be ready soon. Yeah, and as I said, the beach is wide and open. In the picture on the right, you see directly the beach next to the pier. And as you can see, you don't have any hotels on the beach, so it's quite nice to look around. Only 10 to 15 minutes away from downtown, you'll find Tin City, which is more a rustic complex of buildings on the Naples harbor side. They have been built in the 1920s and they're harbor halls. Today you find here little souvenir shops, 2 nice waterside restaurants, and also the sightseeing cruises like the sunset cruises or the shelling birding dolphin cruises are starting there. And this is a nice little spot also to visit for the clients. Yeah, getting around in Naples. Yeah, lots of things to do, lots of things to discover. Naples can be discovered easily by foot, as I said, but you can also do Segway tours, trike tours. You can rent bikes or golf cars to see the neighborhoods. And of course, many activities are on the water. So as I said, all that cruises. We do have the dinner cruises experiences, but also that catamaran tours for families with kids. I always recommend a visit in the Naples Zoo, which is really a tiny zoo and a very nice one. You can feed the giraffes, which is very nice. We do have a botanical garden, which has also sunset celebrations, and we have many festivals year-round, like the Arte Viva at the moment, which is celebrating the Hispanic art and culture in Florida. But Naples is also a heaven for food lovers. The special thing about Naples is that we do not have really that kind of chain restaurants, more the individual owned, locally owned restaurants with excellent seafood for sure. Many outdoor seating spaces. Everything is outdoor in Naples. One of my favorite experience or dining experience is always a visit at the Celebrations Park, which is a food truck park in North Naples. Here you find 8 food trucks and a great outdoor bar with live music, which is another great dining experience under the sun of Naples. Yes, we have 48 kilometers of pristine beaches. The sand is like powder, so sometimes I cannot believe how that sand feels. It is really so powdery that you cannot imagine it is white. So as I said, the beaches are all easy accessible. You have your parking spots, you have that turquoise water, you can use the beaches for beach walks, for shelling, or even if you see here in the middle picture, that is Clampers Beach. That is a beach that can be reached only while walking over a boardwalk to that beach. You have mangroves. You can use that park for paddling as well, which is actually really nice. And just some more meters more south, you find the 10,000 Islands. The 10,000 Islands are over 10,000 mangrove islands, and as you can imagine, they are a paradise for water sports. Paddling into the sunset, you have all kind of water sports: paddling, canoeing, the boating, the fishing, the birding. So this is really a location. Would I say really a location? The biggest of the 10,000 islands is Marco Island. Marco Island can be easily reached via 2 bridges from the mainland. This island is 10 kilometers long and 6 kilometers wide. So that is a perfect spot for beach and family vacation. The beach is 7 kilometers long, and in the inner land of the island, you find many waterways and lots of villas and holiday homes. And as I said, this island makes a difference. That's a paradise for water sports. Shelling, as I said, in the middle picture, you see the very popular sand dollar. So I was happy to find one during my last trip 2 weeks ago. My colleague Claudia, who lives in Naples, actually sometimes comes for the weekend to Marco Island just to get that island feeling because it's so different. Yeah. Tiger Tail Beach. This is actually my favorite beach on Marco Island. This is the northern beach of Marco Island. It is a dune beach. Great for walking and beach activities and perfect for your clients who are staying in Naples but want to see another beach. So it's only 25 minutes from downtown Naples and really an experience to spend a day out there. Yeah, looking at Marco Island again, like in Naples, very different from other US destinations. It is Caribbean style. It was very charming. It had an old Florida style. So here you find many small restaurants, cafes, little shops. Very nice at night. You can sit outside in the patio and enjoy your island life. And it's really a nice, downtown. It's not really downtown because it has only, I don't know, 5,000 residents, but it's really nice actually. My favorite experience, so as Marcel said, everybody loves turtles, but everybody loves dolphins as well. So a must-do on Marco Island is the dolphin watching tour with the Dolphin Explorer. It's a study and educational tour. So the guide knows every dolphin by name, and this is kind of amazing. So the dolphins are recognizing the boat and then coming to the boat and playing with the waves. And it's just an amazing experience. It takes approximately 3 hours. And you are doing on that tour also a stop on Kivedin Island to do some shell collecting, which is also nice. So, and now we are heading to the Everglades. The Everglades are the only subtropical nature reserve in North America and at the same time a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is just a 45 minutes drive from Naples to Everglades City, which is the western entrance of the national park. You should always recommend your clients to drive over US 41, which is the Tamiami Trail, because Tamiami Trail is the old connection from Tampa to Miami, and it's more a scenic drive than just driving fast. If clients are going over the Alligator Alley, the I-75, they do not see so much. So the clients can really get into the nature, into the Everglades feeling while driving through US 41. Yes, send a postcard from the smallest post office in the US, which is really lots of fun on the way through the Everglades. You can stop here. The postman is a very friendly one, so he's always keen to do selfies with his guests, and this is also a very nice stop on the way. Before heading to Everglades City. Everglades City is the western entrance of the national park, but it is a very small, actually village, only 500 residents living there. You find some very nice seafood restaurants on the site as well. There is the Everglades Museum, and that's about it. It's Florida like for, I don't know, 60 years. But Everglades City is also the stone crab capital of the world. So there is a huge festival once a year. The Everglades City is swamped with 20,000 people. So, and stone crab season is mid of October to May. Yeah, how to discover nature. Airboat ride is one of the most common ones, I would say. You can book the airboat ride right on the way. It is fast, it is funny, you learn a little bit about the ecosystem, but getting more closer to nature, you should really recommend your clients doing a boardwalk. Along US 41, you find several stops where you can just park the car and walk into the into the swamps or grassland on that wooden bridges, which is really nice actually. Or if you have clients who wouldn't like more nature, I always recommend to do a swamp walk with a ranger or to book a canoe or kayak tour. These are actually really nice to get closer to nature. Yeah. And that was it from my side. Quick. Has anybody questions?
I haven't seen any questions so far on it, so makes me convinced that it was pretty clear. But if some people might still have some questions, you could still do it via the chat box.
Sure.
Meanwhile, let me thank you, Annette, for the nice presentation, and Marcel as well. It was very interesting, and thank you for making this a successful webinar. I'm pretty sure that everybody agrees with me. And as told, it's been recorded, so we can view it afterwards.
Super.
I still don't see any questions, so we can round up. As told at the beginning, 12th of October, if you're not already inscribed to come to the event, please do. 27 partners. We never had so many partners. It will be very interesting, I promise you. And the 31st of October is our next webinar. So thanks again, Marcel, Annette, and see you all on the 12th of October. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Very much for
much.
having us. Bye.
Bye.